Piah, Ministers of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, and Deputy Commissioner of Police. TrueLiberia, Officer in charge of the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency. Honorable Piah will address key trends and national issues and updates on the government's ongoing development initiatives. So, Deputy Commissioner of Police will provide updates on the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. So, stick with us as we refresh of the mega press briefing keep following.
Let me welcome our guests and members of the press to our Tuesday edition of the MICAT Press briefing here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Head of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism is Honorable Piah. He's deputed by the Deputy Minister for Administration, Honorable Tapa, and also in the charge of the press of the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs, Honorable Sando. I'd like to invite Mr. Sando, who will make an opening statement, after which he will officially invite our guests, including the Minister of Information.
So that's the voice of Lawrence and family. He's the acting assistant minister for information services, and he's the moderator for MICAT regular Tuesdays and Thursday press briefing. Keep following.
Pleasant good afternoon. Our followers from all of the social media platforms. Pleasant good afternoon to the general public. Pleasant good afternoon to our followers who are following via the community radio stations across the country. ELDC is here going live. We want to thank the management of Prime FM for also relaying this edition of the MICAT regular press conference. It is again a privilege and an honor to mount this microphone in the service of our country in our official capacity as the deputy spokesperson of the government, to welcome all of you who have made it a duty to religiously follow the Ministry of Information press briefing on a bi-weekly basis. I know there are some who will normally call and say, I followed the press conference today, and from the press conference I got to know this is happening, that is happening. So that's our motivation. People are following the press briefing, and through this platform, they are getting the information in real time on the progress that the country is making on the leadership, distinguished leadership of His Excellency President White. We also want to, on behalf of the senior management team of the Ministry of Information, welcome the officer in charge of the LDEA, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Honorable General T.M. Diago. He's the officer in charge at the LDEA, and he's here accompanied with a team of officials from the LDEA. He will make a proper introduction when he mounts the podium. But we invited them purposely to provide a public update on what we are with the fight against the scourge of illicit drugs and dangerous substances in our country. It is a very important subject matter that concerns every citizen, every family head. We got brothers, sisters, nieces and nephews are falling victim to this scourge on a daily basis. It's a threat to the progress of the youthful population of our country. And that's why the President attaches very seriousness to this, declared it a matter of national emergency. He has constituted a team of competent individuals that are leading the government fight against drugs and other dangerous substances. So we want to welcome you to the Ministry of Information. I know this is not your first time here, but this is the government official platform. When you come here, there are people waiting to hear what the DEA is doing. There also something that happened yesterday about a video circulating on social media. Of course, Ken Campbell will ask speaking to that. They will also clear the air on and provide the facts contrary to speculations out there. So beyond that, you already know that Minister Piah, who is the official spokesperson of the government, will normally speak to some pertinent issues before we take our guests. Now, when you have the minister in the house speaking in his capacity as the official spokesperson, you want to avoid as much distraction as possible. There are other issues happening in the country. There are some who, because of the level of progress that has been made in just 1 or 2 years, they think that the government is in some popularity context with them. You know, when people begin to sound the way some of them are sounding, suggest that they get frustrated because the development news in the country has overwhelmed them. So people are saturated with politics. The next election was 4 or 5 years away. People are not calling for election. I mean, just 1 or 2 years of the administration. That tells you how people are saturated with politics. But for us, we're sticking to what the President said from the beginning, that this is a mission to serve the Liberian people and to deliver the good things for the next generation of Liberians. We are not focused on the next election. The Minister has got a lot to say. Let me now seize the moment and ask you to please turn all of your agenda silence and give the microphone, the podium, your undivided attention. As I now invite the Honorable Jerome Piah to speak with you.
So we just listened to Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs here at MICAT. This is Honorable Jerome Piah, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the turnout. I see many of you are here today. Nothing controversial happening in town today, right? That will make use more than MICAT. So, all officials of the ministry, I expect you to know that culture and tourism were annexed from the ministry. So when you come here, you still doing Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs, and Tourism. Nobody is going to be understood. The first 2 officials of the authority were confirmed today, which means the authority is now on its feet and running. So you can't continue to call yourself the Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs, and Tourism. You are the Ministry of Information. That's why everybody can call you the first Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism. I mean, you won't be able to. I want to, before I start, congratulate the Assistant Director for President Public Affairs, Mr. who earned a university degree the other day. We haven't spoken about it, and I thought it is important in this public gathering. Since you'll be working with your colleague, congratulate all in the presence of all of you. Congratulations. You don't want to your friend? So there's a new political model that was invented. And in the scientific world, when you invent models, the first trial starts with you. Now with the men who you know about it. So my brother and friend, Senator McGill, has a new model. Of course, it's interesting that every time the brother has the chance to appear on the media, he talks more about the Ministry of Information than what he really wants to talk about. But that's not the new model I'm talking about. It's a model that says if you know you can win election, don't wait for your term to end. Resign, go back to election. He said the United Party people believe so much that Joseph Waga is popular. So even though President Waga was elected for 6 years, have not even completed 2 years, he said he should resign and go back to an election with the CDC. Maybe it's a good model. Except that it has to start with him. Let him resign a 9 years job to go back for a new election. And we know where they go to incorporate. Once he does that, then we can start the conversation as to whether President Waga will follow that same example. But until he does so, he's just wasting our time. It's no issue. You are inventing something. You believe there's a way to go, why not try it? That 9 year job that you got, 2 years gone, wait the rest of it resign. And let's go back to my giving country and see whether you will survive for Liberia. And when that experiment is done, then we can start to think about it as something that, we gotta look at. But let him start it that way. And I challenge him to resign today. I know that he means business. The struggle between the rains and the dry season set to release Operation Octopus as far as road work is concerned. We've been held back a little bit because even on the voyage of reaching December, it's still raining crazily. So what the team has done, and they take up to all you media people around strategic areas of the city, you will notice that they have begun the process of rehabilitating all the roads that have challenges, ranging from Central Monrovia towards Painesville, SKD Boulevard, and all the other places will be simultaneously touched and worked on. I know one of you who says you live rehab wetland. You raised the question here the other day about the condition of the road. I did say to you that whatever the problems are with those roads, there will be sort of the process of doing so has begun. And we show that in addition to the real big work we have to do, which will include all the major constructions that we have announced in terms of road work, all the preliminary work that are required for streets that got challenges will be concluded, all will be concluded before we end the dry season. So that by the time we're going back to another period of rain, the roads are good, and those plying those routes, you will know that they are good. We are also happy that unlike in the past, when we have faced these realities, there were times traveling out of this city to the interior. Sometimes some people get stuck on the road for 1 week, 2 weeks. We are glad that since the administration came to power and made a commitment that no car will get stuck in the bottom, all the roads leading to the interior have been accessible. Now, Interestingly, there are some new citizen journalists who've abandoned their responsibility in the legislature. And they are basically on tour, looking for any part of the road that get mud to say, oh, there's another road we have mud here. If it is raining, and the road is a dusty road, you want to see mud, you will see it. But the issue is, are cars getting stuck in the mud that you see? No. Because all those places that are referred to as critical spots that were creating the conditions for cars to get stuck were worked on. Even in the rainy season, in some of these places, keke has been moving there. Taxi as low as they are. And rather than us celebrating what is a real progress in the country, there are people who are basically trying to still make a case that the country has not taken a step and everything is still the same. When I'm driving to work in the morning and I'm passing the Fort Junction, Carway Junction, and all these places, you see people lining up waiting for the limited buses that are being in the street to come and pick them up. And you bring the first batch of buses that visibly you can see have just brought some change situation under control. And everyday people looking for ways to say, no, this one not supposed to work. And you park one in a grass and slippery place, and the driver is trying to pull it out of the tire, getting because of the wetness and the slippery thing. The young students come to assist. They say, oh, the car not breather, and even say 1 minute not breather. I would not be surprised if folks who are responsible for the buses don't enhance security, and there could just be some people of anger and being vexed that we just throw fire at some of those buses just because they don't want to see them. That's how far the country has come. For these behaviors and actions, we'd like to tell you that we'll remain focused, we'll keep being deliberate and intentional in addressing the perennial problems of this country that we inherited. There will be no time in the history of this country where the government has hit the ground running from the very beginning, and then the progress is visible and enormous. That time is now. And we gotta join the celebration, join the developmental drive, not just park on the side and look at us. Maybe, and just maybe towards the end, we realize that best things will happen. It's already public knowledge to all of you that at the invitation of the King of the Kingdom of Morocco, President Waka departed the country yesterday. We will participate in a midday forum which will run from November the 26th to 28th. It marks the 17th edition. And it's going to have patronage of King Mohammed. It will be held in Tangier, Morocco. That forum is an annual high-level international forum and is often referred to as the Davos of the Global South. It is organized by the Amendios Institute in partnership with the government of Morocco. It is organized every year as a platform that focuses on geopolitics, economic development, energy, climate resilience, digital transformation, migration, and soft cooperation. The gathering brings together presidents, prime ministers, CEO, multilateral agencies, and global experts. On day 1, which is today, President Waka will be the first of 5 presidents and prime ministers to speak. After his speech, President Waka will be awarded the prestigious Grand Prix Midday, the highest distinction bestowed during the Midday's Forum held in Tangier. The recognition reflects the President's leadership in strengthening democratic governance, his vision for national renewal and institutional reform, his commitment to peace, stability, and regional cooperation, his efforts to rebrand Liberia as a credible, responsible, and forward-leaning nation. Although both post-war presidents of Liberia have attended Middays, neither of the 2 past presidents have been awarded this distinction. Several African presidents have received the award. And they include Paul Kagame, Azili Osmani, Macky Sall, President Touare of Mali, and Jose Maria Niles of Cabo Verde, or Cape Verde, if you want to call it that way. President Waka Dan Jones, this notable group of honored statesmen recognized for promoting governance, peace, international cooperation, etc. The forum will highlight Morocco's partnership with other African countries in the areas of bolstering infrastructure, industries, and investment. The 3 are essential to growth. It will also ensure the powering of innovative financing and PPPs, bridging the African infrastructure gap for economic acceleration. It will look into value chain, trade, regional integration, and accelerating Africa's economic convergence. It will also consider energy transition, green versus oil and gas, or green plus oil and gas. It will consider regional integration and connectivity in Africa, a catalyst for stability, for sustainable and continuous development. Some of you witnessed yesterday a landmark achievement in our country, because the government of Liberia, through the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority, yesterday commissioned the nation's first semi-industrial fishing vessel, the Sea King, procured under the World Bank funded Liberia Sustainable Management of Fishery Project. The Liberian owned, and that's key, the vessel belongs to us. The Liberian owned vessel marks a new chapter in the development of the fisheries sector by contributing to increased catch efforts. We eat a lot of fish, it's good protein. Enhance revenue generation and ensure the expansion of job opportunity for Liberians. Additionally, NAFA also showcased 23 newly manufactured fiberglass crew and fatigue canoes, a major milestone achieved on the project. The canoes are locally built to support artisanal fisheries and demonstrate NAFA's commitment to improving safety at sea, promoting climate-smart technologies, and boosting productivity across coastal communities. The introduction of the semi-industrial vessel forms part of the project's broader objective to enhance the management of the marine fisheries and aquaculture. It includes the adoption of climate-smart fishery practices and the establishment of data-driven systems to inform evidence-based policy decisions for sustainable fisheries. The new fishing vessels made in the state of Oman out of glass, reinforced plastic, and other environmentally friendly materials has a gross registered tonnage of approximately 200 tons and is 23 meters in length. Also during that occasion, it was announced that after many years of appeals and cries from fishermen, the government has now come to their rescue as part of the ongoing efforts to alleviate the many burdens faced by Liberians. So at the commissioning of Liberia's first semi-industrial fiberglass fishing vessel, Sea King, the Vice President, the Honorable Jeremiah Kwan, announced reductions in the annual lesson fees for all artisanal kingdoms across the country. The reduction takes effect from January 1, 2026, and the new structure will be as follows. For those using pedal kingdoms, the annual fee, which was $50 before, has been reduced to $30. For those using 1 to 15 horsepower engines, the annual fees, which were $250, is now reduced to $175. And for those using 16 to 40 horsepower engines, the annual fees will now be $350, reduced for $450. The reduction is a clear demonstration of the government, that the government of President Waka is a listening government and is at the service of the people it governs. After 40 years of being in complete darkness, the Liberia Electricity Corporation is doing everything possible through a private electrical engineering group, Chris Electronic Company, and is currently installing poles and streetlights in Benton City, the capital of Montserrat, and its surroundings to be connected to the LDC grid before Christmas. This is a milestone achieved by the government through the LDC to expand access to electricity in communities that have not benefited from the national power grid since the end of the Civil War. Following the suspension of the mass enrollment in the National Biometric Identification System on June 23, 2025 for administrative reasons, the National Identification Registry, the NIR, in collaboration with the World Bank and other missions, has commenced a week-long technical review session aimed at assessing the current NIR system and strengthening its technical capacity. This important engagement brings together key identification stakeholders from both government institutions and the private sector. The technical review involves the National Identification Registry, the Central Bank of Liberia, EcoBank, the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, the National Elections Commission, the World Bank, and mobile network operators in Liberia. Their collective expertise is essential in driving a more efficient, inclusive, and technology-driven national identification ecosystem. The review, according to the NIR, is necessary to swiftly and strategically accelerate the mass enrollment of citizens and residents into the National Biometric Identification System. The NIR further stressed that a robust national ID card system is foundational to national security, financial inclusion, and service delivery. The review process will also strengthen coordination amongst institutions, ensuring that Liberia's identification system aligns with the global standard and best practices. Following the exercise, a new date for the mass enrollment in the National Biometric System will be announced by the government of Liberia. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, is partnering with India dental experts to establish a dental training program, dental health and dental technician program at the Topman National Institute of Medical Arts, TNIA. The programs seek the country's pool of skilled dental professionals. The new program will offer intensive training programs divided into 2 semesters. The first semester will focus on basic health sciences and dental materials, providing students with a strong foundational understanding of the anatomy, dental morphology, and the properties of dental material. The second semester will center on oral health and hygiene, applied prosthodontics and orthodontics, and the goal is to provide hands-on training in oral health care, the fabrication of crowns, bridges, denture, and orthodontic appliances. In order to improve the financial system of the Nigeria Water and Sewer Corporation, the LWSC has started the installation of prepaid water meters to flat rate customers and move away from the flat rate system. The move by the LWSC is intended to make water supply more efficient and affordable. The flat rate, which is between US $33 to $99, in a new system means customers will pay for what they consume. The Liberian Senate concurs with the House of Representatives to ratify the Excel Education Agreement that was submitted by the executive. This is a major investment in Liberia's primary school system. So that ratification ensures that an amount of US 88.7 million will now be used to develop our educational system at the primary level. According to the Senate Joint Committee on Ways, Means and Finance and Budget and Education and Public Administration, the SL project represents a significant step towards strengthening foundational learning, improving school infrastructure, and expanding equitable access to safe, gender-responsive education across the country. With that ratification, US $60 million credit will unlock an additional $28.7 million partnership for education grant, helping to reduce Liberia's educational financing gap, support the implementation of the education sector plan, and maintain momentum following the phase-out of USAID funding. The government welcomes this development as a meaningful boost to ongoing national effort to improve learning outcomes, expand assets, and invest in Liberia's young people. Liberia is about to make history in the international maritime diplomacy with the opening of the 34th session of the International Maritime Organization General Assembly in London. Liberia is the only African country among 11 countries for 10 seats in Category A of the International Maritime Organization's Executive Council for the period 2026-2027. The Council is the executive organ of the IMO and is responsible under the Assembly for supervising the work of the organization and has 3 categories. What is Category A that Liberia is seeking re-election for? Category A is the highest category among the 3 categories of the IMO 40-member Executive Council. Category A has only 10 elected member states that have the largest interest in providing international shipping services. Category B has 10 member states with the largest interest in international seaborne trade, while Category C has 20 members, but they are not elected under Category A and B, which have special interest in maritime transport or navigation to ensure representation at all major geographic areas of the world. Liberia is currently serving on Category A, on a Category A seat after its election in December of 2023 to serve from 2024 to 2025. The current election is set for Friday, November 28th in London, and we are very confident that Liberia will regain the seat and continue this international image building process. Women from Liberia will join women around the world to celebrate the 16 days of activism, which starts today, November 25th, and ends on 10 December 2025. This year's event is held under the theme, Unite, to end digital violence against all women and girls. As the world marks the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, one of the most progressive international agreements on women's rights to date, the UN Secretary General's Unite 2025 campaign focuses on one of the fast-growing forms of abuse, digital violence against women and girls. This year's campaign is also a reminder that digital safety is central to gender equality. The Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is holding appropriate programs to commemorate global United Nations has program to commemorate this global event, as the United Nations has announced an alarming figure of 1.8 billion women and girls still lacking protection from online harassment and other forms of technology-facilitated abuse. The UN cites few examples of digital abuse against women that include image-based abuse, non-consensual sharing of intimate images, often called revenge porn or leaked nudes, cyberbullying, trolling, and online threats, online harassment and sexual harassment, AI-generated deepfakes such as sexually explicit images, deepfake pornographic, and digitally manipulated images in videos and audio, hate speech, and disinformation on social media platforms. Most so, the government remains committed to curtail digital abuse with the introduction of a cybercrime law that is before the national legislation for passage. So these are the issues we wanted to talk about. I know when the video circulated yesterday about the young man, the first thing many people were concerned about, oh yeah, somebody from the Vice President office. Not in the interest, not with the intention of wanting to really know what was going on, but to make a case that even in higher offices, there are people doing drug business. But let's take it this way before I call it DEA man. President Waka appointed me and all the deputy ministers. He appointed ministers and heads of agencies in all the other places. So when any of us here get involved in drug business and they catch us inside, then I Waka the cost. That's our business. Even in your own house, your own family people. Assuming you have baby children living with you, one of them go outside and go do drug business. That you are all responsible. So because of politics, we always draw history conclusions to everything that happened. But like Councillor Pierre Brown who said, and I'm from the body, but yet to be together. So let me call it DEA man to not talk it. Chief, head of platform.
Good afternoon, Minister MICAT, Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, and the able lieutenants. Here today with my staff, 2 senior staff and 2 junior staff. I'm here with Principal Tupac. He's a controller for the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency, and I'm here with Special Agent Pressure Room. She's in charge of the legal campus operations. We have come to give you a few updates on where are we now in the fight against drugs and drug trafficking, and to also give you update on the arrest, on the incident yesterday on the social media. We are happy today to be here at Liberia one of Liberia's most viewed platforms to provide this update I was provided a few days back. We extend our thanks and appreciation to community members across Liberia, to religious institutions, to government institutions, the media for the support to the fight against drugs. As you may be aware, a few days back, the President, His Excellency Julian Baka, commissioned 15 new pickup trucks to the LDEA to boost the operational effectiveness and efficiency of the LDEA. Through that, we deploy these vehicles within the most affected communities in Liberia and the most hotspot vulnerable locations. And between September and October of this year, the LDEA arrested 178 drug traffickers and dealers and filed investigated and filed all of them to court. As of today, we can clearly tell Liberian people that 178 drug traffickers and dealers are in pre-trial detention and waiting to be sentenced. Through that effort, we also impounded 6 vehicles that were caught during the arrest and confiscation of drugs. And those vehicles today, they are still impounded at our investigation locations across the country. We also have 2 buildings, also seized 2 buildings, one in Broadway, District 15, where the huge quantity of marijuana was confiscated from, and one is in Duazo, Madibi County, where we also arrested some huge number of marijuana, some fresh marijuana. And these vehicles are still in the custody of LDEA and remain a crime scene until these cases are fully adjudicated. Two weeks ago, you witnessed the branding exercise of over $40 million worth of illicit substances at our Disco Hill branding site. That alone is a significant milestone for the LDEA and for the Liberian people. We can report today that the issue of drugs within Liberia is being minimized. You are the witness. The way the issue of drugs was happening in communities across Liberia is now happening in Haiti. We are asking Liberians across and listening to us to help, to support the fight against drugs. We're not just fighting drugs, arresting suspects, arresting dealers and traffickers. We also have intensified our prevention across Liberia. If you go to King Grade today, one of the most notorious sites that is in Pinsville is now have been turned into a DEA service center. That there is no drug activity occurring now at the King Grade site. This is what we want to do. Affected communities, affected site, we want to turn that site sometimes into a recreation center for the community. Establish football fields. Do some town hall. So we're not just moving and arresting traffickers and dealers, we also venture into prevention programs. We are partnering with civil society organizations. I think you witnessed on social media last time we went to CO. We are partnering with CO to have a very successful meeting with FLA. And they are willing and ready to partnership with the LDEA to do awareness in schools and in communities to target youthful populations. So we're not just on the front line fighting, we're also institutionalizing the issue of prevention and awareness. For the last 2 months, we have stabilized the LDEA. The internal wranglings within the LDEA now will become a history. We're building an institution that when we leave for LDEA will be a stable institution. There's a law enforcement institution. Last week Thursday, we held a 1-day policy review and validation workshop and reviewed several policies for the Minister of Justice approval. So these are things that we're doing at LDEA. So these are few updates we want to give to our Liberian people. At the end of the month, there are significant progress being made in the month of November. This update reflects September and October. November will come back to the Liberian people to give you significant information. The last one reported that there are 2 communities in Mosurado state hotspots, Bushel Island and Pinville. I will speak today, there have been significant reductions into illicit drugs activities in those communities. At the end of the month, we'll come back and give you statistics on the reduction and effort made in those communities. We have also established 14 peer educators clubs in 14 high schools in Mosurado. And our effort is to extend it throughout Liberia. Having that to do have fly with the same ideology, we want to put resources together and partner with them to extend peer educator clubs within high schools and junior highs in Liberia. Our internal drug testing for officers is in progress. I will remember last time we completed 406 officers, and out of which 10 officers came positive. And those officers were suspended time indefinite and ongoing investigations. As we conclude with the investigation, we'll be coming back to the public on the outcome of those investigations. Yesterday event. On Saturday, November 22nd, at about 1 p.m., a man identified as Clifford Payne, age 29, an employee of the Group of 72nd, appeared to the LDEA office in Nigutan to appeal for the release of a suspect arrested, Joel Sewani, who was arrested on Friday, November 21st, 2025, at about 6:30 p.m. with 112 grams of kush with estimated street value of $216,000 Liberian dollars. Who he Clifford Payne claims to be an extended family member. The officer refused that they cannot honor that request. On November 24th, which was yesterday, the officer charged the suspect. While being filed on the Bush Magistrate Court for prosecution, Mr. Clifford Payne showed up in an effort to obstruct the LDEA from turning the suspect over to the court for prosecution. The situation we broke into a commotion leading to his arrest. Payne was taken to the LDEA headquarters yesterday, where he was accorded all his rights and privileges in line with our laws, admitted his statement to be recorded. The LDEA, as of today's date, has completed profiling on Mr. Clifford Payne. As of today, the LDEA did not establish any link of Mr. Payne to drugs trafficking, to drugs abuse, and drugs dealing. However, he will be charged for hindering law enforcement and obstruction or persecution. It will be turned over to the Liberian National Police tomorrow for persecution. We ask the Liberian people to be calm. Like the minister says, crime under our law is not transferable. Even my son, who is an age, commit a crime today, he can't transfer that crime to Mr. Piah. So that was going to follow the process religiously. Again, I want to say thank you to the minister and for inviting me. At the end of the month, we'll come with a full update to give account of our stewardship for the last 3 months. Thank you.
Many thanks to ORC. You listen to him, and I'd like to emphasize that his update, his explanation was clear as crystal. You also listen to Minister Piah, who spoke on a number of issues the Liberian public is following, and we now have this to make this press conference interactive. So we're now open the floor to entertain a number of questions from the members of the press that are here. Please ensure that your question is concise and appropriately directed at the issues that both speakers addressed in their remarks. Thank you.
Just before we start the interactive section, the witness when the press conference going on, Madam walk in. Normally, journalists, there are people who are journalists here in Liberia and had a chance to travel abroad, America, Europe, or anywhere. Being glad to note that every time they're in the country visiting, that they will visit the Ministry of Information to reconnect to their roots. Because here, there are a lot of upcoming journalists who will learn a lot from them. And to some extent, I will encourage you to be very engaged with them. They call it harassment fans when they come. Especially with the journalists who can say, the Liberian journalists, they can call no institution names. I put it there and help you. Come here and I come here every day, I get a camera, I get it. But I start from there, maybe one day they can do something. So many sure journalists who work with the state broadcaster and did some private media work and also became the communication head at the Ministry of Gender, Honor, Global Youth Plus Administration. She moved to the U.S. a couple of years ago in the state of Minnesota. She's visiting. I thought to pass through. I know she's engaged. She wants to go, but I thought it was important to introduce her to you before she leaves. So, Manika, welcome to MICAT. These are all the young journalists who look up to people like you to help to impact them. Journalists, Manika Shaw.
Thank you.
Manika Shaw. Oh, sorry. When she was here, she used to be Manika Shaw. She married her, so she's Manika Shaw Giddings. I mean that on married man's wife.
Thank you, Minister. Please introduce yourself and institution you report from.
Thank you. My name is Mpolu, and Madam, thank you so much for coming. We want to leave the Ministry of Information with the world. Yeah, young people will reach out to you, please. Thank you, Minister Piah. So, my first question, Minister said we don't have one line. Let me just bring two constraints that's very critical. Yeah, Mr. Bianco, people have admired him. But the concept is there that when the DEA, when the president put in charge somebody in order to take over the institution, they work in the very first 2-3 months to impress the president in order to make them to stay. After which they will start reneging. Are you pretending? That's my first question. And so, you know, the last constraint there is that, you know, Mr. Kalado is a statement. He was linked to drugs issue. The public still listening. How far is Mr. Kalado issue with the drugs issue? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is George Momo, and I report for the Liberia News Agency. So, to the DEA, the work you're doing in a short space, the prints are on the wall. All we can say is that it is our hope that this will continue. But my concern have to do with what is on your decks. Because going to the ghetto, destroying the ghetto, going after the drugs trafficker, we have the end users, our brothers and sisters who are dying on a daily basis. What is on your decks relative to rehabilitation, whether it's partnering with local rehabilitation centers? Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Christopher Desmond and I report for Inside Liberia. Well, Mr. Bianco, after you have spoken, Bianco, you spoke, emphatic, a presentation or actually Christian. On your presentation on the analogy you said, yesterday when the news broke up about Mr. Clifford Piah, there were a whole lot of misinformation. We have to identify what this information or other misinformation. But some of them were, some of the information were, he attempted bribing the LDEA, and this was something that you didn't mention. So would you mind clarifying that? Follow up to that, I'm concerned because these are many perceptions within the street corners around Monrovia. How does the DEA go about doing their reading? Because other people perceive that when you are not part of this whole drugs issue, you are passing by, DEA also gets you involved. So at least in the next few minutes, how does the DEA go about doing their reading? Thank you.
My name is Jackson Ali Sefa, and I report for SAM TV. Let me just look at Mr. Piah. Mr. Piah, you know, there was a security pact signed between Sierra Leone and Liberia about transnational crimes. So my concern has to, the public may be concerned about this. The issue of extradition. When people commit crime, for instance in Sierra Leone, and they cross over to Liberia, do we have any existing instruments of law that will prompt us to transfer criminals from here back to Sierra Leone, then to the DEA boss? Over the period of time, especially during E.D. Nkrumah's time when he was appointed and short time, we used to see suspects arrested, sometimes proceed from the sale of the drugs. In such case, since your inception as the DEA boss, have you ever come across cases, and if so, how much have you raised the proceed being arrested from drug suspects or drug dealers, and how have the funding been used, or what have you done with the funding? Thank you.
So, my name is Joseph Salid, and I write for the news newspaper. My first question will be Mr. Piah. Mr. Piah, is there any update from the board meetings from the Liberia Broadcasting Corporation as it relates to the incident with Mr. Falcon and other PLDEA, gambling situation at the Liberia Broadcasting situation, and system, and to the LDEA boss? Since over the years we have seen the graveyard, Center Street, have been a hub for drugs. And many times we see LDEA officers going there to raid. Are you guys raiding that place? And people are still going by, people selling drugs there. Yesterday we had a situation where we saw some of the officers, they went there to raid that spot. And many times we speak to these disadvantaged people or these drugs addicted young people. They say your LDEA officers there, they only go there to generate funding. So each time when they leave their group, they go there and just get money from on these triggers, and we don't see the practical expression of it for people living from that place. The place is still there, you see, and P to that. Just follow up. There's a drug they call Kaka. There's a pain relief. It's been reported that drugs is an illicit drug that is addictive. You care to give us updates on because the LDEA is currently carrying out their own assembly of that drug. You care to give us updates on that? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Piah. My name is Haji Masali. I'm both of Spoon Network. You spoke about the province situation and just concerned about the cents and dollars put to that huge quantity of drugs. We all know about the 100 million drugs. It was the first time in the history of Liberia to see that huge quantity. But the one we witnessed in the province areas, it was like a manufacturing area. So can you tell us how much dollars that drug cost? Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
So that's it for questions by journalists. That's his response by the guest.
All right, so thank you for the questions. The first question is whether I'm pretending because what I see and history that we call that once you what I see you perform. But I'm a career law enforcement person. I'm honorable to serve and protect. I'm now pretending. Like I say, I'm not doing this job to satisfy someone. I'm doing this job to serve the community. I'm doing this job for the generation to come. I'm doing this job with passion for integrity. So I'm putting my all into it. Even if today the president tell me thank you, I'll forward the police for Lord to serve my people in that capacity. So I'm not pretending. I'm doing this job as the first day I took the oath of office as a police officer. And the second question, Kalando issues, no, the drug issues. Investigation, the drug issue is not investigation that we clean investigations. Drug issues are cartel. And when we don't get all of the connections and the connect, the charge someone to put, at the end of the day, the person will walk out. And it seems like when people in the media will come back and say the code is corrupt. In fact, the LDEA people have received bribe from Mr. Kalando that while he went out today. We have networks that are working with the Financial Intelligence Unit of Liberia, we're working with that. We're working with the Liberia National Police. We're working with the Liberia Immigration Service. We're working with other partners across our borders to establish a link to get a huge number of drugs leaving another country to a country. We are establishing all the link. So the investigation is ongoing. We will come back with the Liberian people and let you know. If Mr. Kando is involved, we'll let you know. If he's not involved, we'll let you know. We don't want to be hasty to make a decision. At the end of the day, we can't prove anything. It's an investigation, we want to prosecute. Who have evidence on to prosecute. The next question is, where is our rehabilitation effort? We are working with Ministry of Youth and Sport, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Health. So currently we got several rehabilitation centers across the country. The last time the minister gave an update about 1,300 arrest UB rehabilitated across the country. So we're not just arresting, we are partnership and collaborating with those ministries to ensure that those. The last time at King Grade, 200 already show up. They said they want to go to rehab center. We immediately got that was here from Ministry of Health. They did a profiling of those people and took them to rehab center. So we are working. We know that we don't have the adequate resources to get all of the array youth to a rehab center. We don't have enough rehab centers across the country. In this budget year, the government provided additional funding to build and establish additional rehab center in 15 counties. So we are asking for a little bit patience. We will get it. In the first quarter of the 2026, between January to March, we'll give you an update on the government effort of establishing or building additional rehab center that will accommodate more at-risk youth in Liberia. A tainted bribery. A tainted bribery is the crown on our common law that have evidence. If you say Minister Jeremiah Piah want to bribe DCP Piago, there should be evidence shown. In that instant, there is no evidence to establish as of today that there was semblance of bribery. There is no evidence to establish that. So what you heard on news, take it as a rumor, it's not fact. That information, as far as investigation is concerned, is invalid. Rating. Somebody asked whether we have targeted rating. Our rating is the precision rate based on information available to us. We are working with several organizations, community organizations around the country, and they give us information in real time. So when you see us moving to raid community or in house or individual, it means we have information on you. Since we took over, we are not moved and failed. Because we deal with real information. And we don't do a random raiding, raid based on intel available to us. And we raid on two fundamental issues, fundamental patterns. One with court warrant, raise and seizure, and one with probability. We had a probable cause to raid, we had the information, and the crime is being committed in plain view, we move and have our action executed. So we just move around raiding and that we see. The other one came for the Minister of Security, communicate with Southern Liberia. Proceed for drugs arrest. I mean, since I took over in LDA, I'm not being the lucky person to arrest drugs with proceed. Yeah, I mean, so the way I pray for every day to happen. Yeah, so I pray for, I even talk to my commanders every day that I want to arrest the drugs with proceed that will add to my portfolio so I can keep in government revenue. But that's the light law has not shone on me yet. But let's pray that will happen. But once it happens, we are hoping we'll declare to the public full exposure to the public. Center Street.
What does the law say about that? So when you take the money from that way?
So the law, thank God I said, the money are reading the law. So the law says, when we arrest a proceed, for example, if that 1,000 US dollar or Liberian dollar, 25% go to the LDEA for operations, 25% go to rehab, and 50% go to government coverage. So the money are reading the law. I didn't know that I'm going to ask you that question.
That's 25%.
Yeah. Huh?
That's 25% to DEA.
Yeah. But it says I have to declare it. You know, take it, declare it, minister have to approve, minister just have to approve that transaction. Central Street, the issue of Central Street, yes, I agree, is a major issue. We are working with the municipal government of Monrovia. The last time we have a serious issue, move in, and over 1,000 press in our area, ladies and gentlemen. We move in, we dislodge. They went to the mayor of Monrovia, we are complaining that is the only accommodation they have. The DA are going to dislodge them. And we have a meeting, and the underlying security issues with the communities and everything, we are working with the mayor. The city mayor is trying to establish rehab center that will accommodate those in our area. So it's a challenge for us as the LDEA. It's a challenge for the city of Monrovia as well. But we are working together so we can resolve that issue. 1,000 miles begin with one step. The issue of drugs, the issue of rehabilitation, the issue of detoxification, all the issues, the package that the multi-sectoral committee decided by the president is working on. We develop an action plan. By the end of 2026, we can come back clearly to the Liberian people and show you visible deliverables that you see. That you see, yeah, these things are working. We can guarantee you by the end of 2026 that whole industry area being occupied by our race youth will be minimized. It's not 100%, but the numbers of people in that area will not be there. So we'll take good number of them to rehab center. Kaka is a new form of trauma. We have sit here and confirm that because last Saturday we arrested 73 buses of Kaka and we did a testing. So what they did, Kaka have it don't have an OPO, but it have a fentanyl. The fentanyl is what they use to produce push. So yes, Kaka we have a meeting with the Labrock Pharmacy. We had meetings with them last time because they didn't know, they didn't know, so they gave them clearance to import Kaka. We also have an intel from our source from the place it came from, again for the country name. Because we say watching out for that. So we had an intel from that country and the intelligence works. And we have it confiscated, we did the testing, we invited the importer, the pharmacy owner, the Labrock medicine board. We did the testing and it came through that it had fentanyl in it. So we confiscated it, working with the Labrock pharmacy board to ensure that we have a partnership so we can all watch out because this is our country, we do it together. You talk about the Broadway issue. Somebody asked a question about the Broadway trust issue. And you say, what was the question again?
Value. What's value? The street value.
For the street value of that trust, we report that the very day we report that, but I will go back to my report again some times back, and I will give you the exact street value. I can't give it to you now because it's my note. But that street value was very huge. That we can give it to you in another press release. So I want to say thank you. Our officers will be open. Anything you don't understand, any operational ideas carry on, they don't understand, please reach out. Our hotline, our Reddit is open. Reach out to us, reach out to our media team. We're always there to provide information. We always give updates to the public through our media team. And so anything that D is carrying on, you don't understand, reach out to us. We are all here to face it together. Thank you.
Joseph Salim, Minister did announce that there was a board meeting held at the Liberia Broadcasting System on the allegation made by a member of the Senate for discussions at the board meeting he talked about is part of the routine functioning of the board of LDS. That meeting was not specifically called for this allegation made. And discussions at board meeting are not meant for the MICAT press briefing. But I thought the minister confirmed that day that contrary to the section by the senators, there was no gambling machine at LDS. If they didn't get it that day, that was exactly what the minister said. No gambling machine at LDS, as was reported. Jackson Sapphire, you asked whether there is an existing extradition treaty between Liberia and Sierra Leone following the signing of the pact for collaboration on transnational transborder trade, crime. Yes, there is an existing framework. You recall that in 2023, there was an individual who was declared wanted by the government of Sierra Leone. He was extradited from Liberia to Sierra Leone in broad daylight. So there is an existing framework, and as part of that framework, the security apparatus here are always working with the counterpart in Sierra Leone to ensure that the two countries work together and our borders are crime-free. On that note, we want to say thank you to the OIC from the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency for coming to address the MICAT press briefing. As promised, the update he provided was for the month of October and September. The one for November, he will come here to also let it out to the public. Thank you very much. On that note, we want to call this press conference to a close. Thank you.
So that's it for to the press briefing. So that's it for to the press briefing here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. So to the MICAT press briefing was addressed by Honorable General Piah, Ministers of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, and Deputy Commissioner of Police, Fajarity Embargo Officer in charge of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. Honorable Piah spoke on key trending national issues and updates on the government